Hi, I'm Stephanie Laska. I lost 140 pounds and created Dirty Lazy Keto. Thanks for joining me here on the YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and enjoy the show. Well, at this time of year, a lot of folks start asking themselves, why can't I stick to a diet over the holidays? You ever thought that? Well, the fall holidays can really make us fall back on some of our old habits. Should I gong myself? The fall holidays make us fall back into old habits. Seriously though, why are holidays so hard to diet? Shouldn't be hard. It's just any other day of the year. But what can we do to stop from feeling like we can't stick to a diet over the holidays? Because we know that doesn't make logical sense, but yet we still struggle. True or false? Well, let me know if this video topic is helpful by giving this a thumbs up, because that way I know I'm tracking and I know that I'm helping you guys out with something that's, on the top of your mind. I love to share my before and after pictures. There's a reason why. Here's the thing. I was just a couple of months into my journey of losing 140 pounds when I went through my very first holiday season. All by myself, no friends, no support group, no YouTube channel. No one even knew the word keto diet. I was all alone, just saying to myself, well, I can't stick to a diet over the holidays. That's just what went through my brain over and over and over again. And it was like walking through a landmine, okay? It was pretty ugly. So I didn't arrive at this point, very easily. There was a lot of bumps in my road. But now that I've kept this weight off, the 140 pounds for almost a decade, I've gained a lot more perspective, and I'm able to look back at myself, here at the winter time and in the fall, and thinking about what was going through my brain, and then looking at myself now in the fall and how it's different. So I want to pass on some of the wisdom, some of the aha moments, and also the things that I've learned from all of you, because I'm watching all of you on your weight loss journeys and taking notes, because I want to learn from you just as much. This is a community, right? But here's the thing. Nobody wants to start over come January. Am I in agreement with that? I'm pretty sure come January, on the 1st, this was when it's 2022. Nobody wants to be like, dang it, I got to start all over again on the first day of the year. Nobody does, yeah? So knowing why we keep, messing ourselves up in the head and telling ourselves, I can't stick to a diet over the holidays, knowing why we do that, why we're perpetuating this myth, I believe it's the secret, it's the key to helping us stop from believing it. Because we've got to stop, right? It's not true. It might seem true, but it's really not. So let's kind of challenge ourselves to figure out why we are talking about this nonsense in the first place. So I kind of broke this up into 3 different areas, from what I've studied, from what I watched from successful people who've lost weight in the keto diet. And I'm like, okay, what are they doing? The first obstacle, I believe, is nostalgia. I think so many people believe, I have to make, all these holiday dishes just like my mom did, or just like my grandma did, or just like I did last year. Do you guys feel that way? You get out the powdered sugar, you get out all these like old school ingredients that you've been using in your family forever and ever, and you worry you're going to mess something up if you do it any differently. So like you, I've been carrying, a lot of my family traditions around forever. And I worried, do I have to make the same thing every year? What if I don't? Will people be mad at me? Will my family be angry? Will I ruin Christmas or Thanksgiving? Are people going to talk mess about me around the table? Like, I really stressed about it. And I wonder if you are too, because I don't think you're alone. Am I alone? No? Well, really, this is a big issue, the nostalgia piece. I think it's kind of, maybe one of the biggest. But here's the thing. Are there other options? Do we have to go down that path where we're like freaking out over making the dishes the same way year after year just to not piss off some relative you don't even care about or see very often? Well, instead of telling yourself, I can't stick to a diet over the holidays, maybe there's a different way. I'm putting on my Dirty Lazy Keto apron right now to go over choice 1. This is choice 1. And if you like this apron, I'm going to be giving a couple away in the comments. So make sure that you are very active in participating today, because I might choose some folks at random to receive one of these to help them get more spirited. Because the truth is, you can honor nostalgia in a different way. Your first option could be forget about it. Forget about it. I'm not going to do anything for anybody except for myself. Okay, that's an option, yeah? You could be like, I'm making all keto dishes. I'm going dirty, lazy keto. This is my life's mission. I'm going to go all in. Forget all y'all. Is that realistic? It might be true depending on your attitude toward life. There's some of you in the group I could see doing that. But, for others, it might be like a little bit too rough, a little too extreme. I want to make sure that we address some ideas and some suggestions for everybody. So right now, what ideas do you have? How do you like to combat the nostalgia piece, that pressure of trying to be perfect at Christmas, but still stick to a diet or still not stick to a diet, or what should you do? What are your suggestions? So besides making all dirty, lazy keto dishes, which is an option, something else you could do is try to mirror some of your favorites. So a lot of people call these copycat recipes. You could take recipes that are your favorite, maybe your family's favorite. Like, for example, my family loves a green bean casserole. They have to have green bean casserole. It's like, they love it. They love it. They talk about it all year long. So do I have to make that just for them? Or can I make a keto version for other people too? So I could do it both ways. I could make one using like cream and mushroom soup, which I don't use anymore. Or I could pull out one of my cookbooks and find a low carb, keto friendly recipe and make it something that I can enjoy. The secret of that one is with the mirrored recipes, you might have leftovers for yourself, which is amazing, by the way, because I like to not share if I go to all that trouble. And by the way, I'm going to link up some holiday favorites with that one in particular, the green bean casserole. I'll link up that video after this. That way you can learn how to make it. I'll show you how and give you the free recipe. So I'll do that after. Another choice that you can make is to limit the number of high carb dishes you're willing to make. So for example, you might be willing to make, let's say, mashed potatoes, but that's it. That's up to you. Maybe take an inventory, take a survey of your family and see what's most important to them, and then just make those. It might surprise you. They may not want everything you used to make. Another trick I like to use is to, hopefully this doesn't, not too cheesy. I like cheesy, but stick it to them. Like stick it to some relative, stick it to them. Be like, hey, so-and-so, you're coming to my house for this holiday. How about you make the blah, 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 high carb dish. So stick it to other people. People always say, especially if they're coming to your house, what can I make? Now you've got an answer. You can tell them, oh yeah, bring like really sugary, high carb, high flour, yada yadas. Make whatever you want. And they'll be like, oh, I thought you were on a diet. And you're like, oh, I'm good. Bring whatever you want. And that way, if someone's complaining, you can point them toward that dish. It's a strategy, right? Another one I like to do, and this is something I've been doing more and more lately as I get older and lazier and more confident, I guess I should say, is I make the things I'm comfortable with, like the dirty, lazy keto version of my holiday favorites. And then I go to the store and I buy the high carb sides that my family might demand. Whatever. I throw a little money at the problem. And these days, my grocery store especially has like some nice small single serve side dishes. And they're like fairly fresh, but I can buy like frozen mashed potatoes, scalloped potatoes, the green bean casserole that people want with the, So there's a whole bunch of different options. Rolls, Jell-O salad, especially in the deli area of grocery stores. And if yours doesn't have it, shop around. But there's always some non-carby type dishes they can just buy. Why not? Especially if it's a small amount, it probably won't cost you too much. And that way, it's still available. No one's complaining, whatever. But then there's choices. But nostalgia is not easy to overcome. Wouldn't you agree? And I know we've talked a little bit about the food choices, but for me, one of the tricks that I've learned along the way, almost 10 years into this, is to focus on ways to remember my family that have nothing to do with food. So think about traditions in your family, your culture, looking back at relatives that aren't with you anymore, and think of new ways you can honor them. These are my napkins from my grandmother who passed on, and I use her china, I use her glasses, I use her linens. and we are sure to talk about my grandparents that have passed on, and we make that a part of our new tradition. And so my kids look forward to it. They're like, oh, are we getting out the Christmas napkins? We only use them that time of year. So that can be, a nice way to tip your hand and nod toward that family without necessarily having to make some kind of sugary, floury dish that will tempt you and stress you out. Good ideas? What ideas do you have? So make sure you're adding them. I want to hear some of your copycat recipe ideas. I want to hear your ideas to combat nostalgia, because this is a real challenge. This is not an easy one, folks. Number 2, I want to talk about applying pressure, like pressure. It's common, I think, at this time of year when your brain is worried, like, oh, I can't stick to it a diet over the holidays. I can't stick to it. The pressure. And that's sometimes all you hear from relatives, from family, from TV. Yeah, it's true. And I like to talk about this in Dirty Lazy Keto Get Started. If you have your copy, turn to page 268, because there's a whole chapter on what I like to call the bucket of crabs. The bucket of crabs. Now, I'm being silly, but man, family pressure to be merry, family pressure to eat their food, it is horrible. And why I call it the bucket of crabs, as you'll know from reading the book, it's like when you're at the sea, at the ocean, and people are, putting crabs in a bucket for, fisherman type folks, whatever. You got your crabs in there, and one crab tries to crawl out. Help, like, I'm getting out of here. And the other crabs see that guy trying to escape, and they yank him back down because they don't want him to leave. So I call that situation the bucket of crabs, and I feel like that's what family and friends and loved ones sometimes do to us when we're trying to change our eating habits. And it makes no sense. These people are supposed to love you, but yet they're pulling you back down, trying to pressure you with, all this crap about trying to get you to eat garbage and join them, which is weird, right? Like, here you are, you might be suffering from diabetes or hypertension or having sleep problems, having joint pain, arthritis, all sorts of horrible things could be going on, challenges medically in your life, and you're trying to shape up and clean up your act. And then you've got these relatives trying to, give you the 1-2 punch. It is so confusing, especially when people get so dang emotional about food. The food drama. It's like, what? You're not going to eat my potatoes? What? Your grandmother worked hard on that. And then people are just pulling out all the punches with all of this food drama, pressuring you to eat. So what do? I'd like to know. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what it is you're doing. I hope that you'll share some of your ideas. I don't want you to be afraid to, be vulnerable and let us know what's going on at your house. Because if we don't all help one another, we're never going to get through this. It's going to take a lot of ideas heard at different times from different people in order for us to move past some of this stuff. Because these are tough issues. So please, please, please share your ideas. Share me your ideas. We need some light bulbs to go off. So put it in the comments. Be specific too. Tell us situations you're having and ask the group, and maybe we can all chime in to help. Or share some recipes too. Let's try to figure this out in a creative way. My thoughts about how try to handle, the pressure part of it, some of the ideas that I've come up with. My ideas. I like to really focus on it's them. It's them. It's not me. No matter what they say, no matter what kind of punching, mean jabs they're trying to come at me with, like, me, you should eat that. You worked hard. You need a night off. It's Christmas. Beep, 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 beep. No matter what they say to me, I think this has to be something about them. It's not about me. It really isn't. I also like to have alternatives ready at my fingertips for when the pressure gets to be too much and I start to crack. I just whipped out a copy of my No Time to Cook cookbook, and I just put some tags on some recipes that I know spoke to me in terms of like holidays. And I'm just going to point some of these out to you. Like, for example, cinnamon sweet rolls. A lot of people like to have like a brunch on Christmas or when they have family over at the holidays. You can still make these in a low carb way and enjoy, or put this out along with some of the other foods for everybody to eat and enjoy. Coming up, we always had lasagna like on Christmas Eve or even New Year's Eve. I don't know why. but that's a tradition of ours. So here you could make a low-carb lasagna version. That's copycat. A lot of cultures like to make chili rellenos or enchiladas. I've got a great recipe here for chili rellenos here in the No Time to Cook cookbook. So good. So fun to make too. Really fun to make. There's just some cool steps in there. This one doesn't get a lot of mention because there's no picture. And I know people love pictures, but this is the salty pecan bark recipe. It's in the chapter on dessert and drinks, but it's so easy to make. And I have a whole video on how to make it for free. Again, I'll be putting links to these in the end. And there's also just simple foods like chocolate chip cookies. And I've got videos for that too. So there's a lot of things that you can make to have on hand, to have like at your fingertips. That way when the pressure gets to you and you're starting to crack, you have something right in front of you because you need that go-to item just in case as a backup plan. I think it's really important to spend a little time, if you will, spend a little time thinking these things through. Because in your brain, you might be struggling like, oh, I can't diet at the holidays. I can't stick to a diet on the holidays. But if you don't sit down and devote a few minutes of quiet time before these events happen, be it Halloween, Thanksgiving, whatever holiday you're celebrating, you need to spend a little bit of time making a plan of action. It's okay. If you have a plan, things might go well. Who knew? But all in all, have patience with yourself. That's probably the hardest piece of advice I can give you. I know everybody wants to be perfect, but with Dirty Lazy Keto, remember you don't have to be perfect to be successful. You don't. It's true. The third tier that I want to look toward, and this is kind of my third area where it kind of gives you more insight into why we beat each other up at this, beat ourselves up at this time of year, is really all about self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is at the root of all of this. You know, you get stressed at the holidays, right? No matter what holiday it is, you get stressed and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna eat some marshmallows. And sugar is an instant kind of stress reliever because it tastes good and it reduces endorphins. And then suddenly, you know, you're at the drive-thru getting your Starbucks drink. Here's a Starbucks one. And you're getting like all this sugar and whipped cream and all this deliciousness. And then, it's like crack, like some kind of drug. And it comes over you. Whoo! And then suddenly you feel good for like 4 seconds. Not that I'm recommending crack, people, but I'm trying to make a point here that self-sabotage is not like because you want to actually do poorly. Sometimes it's a natural reaction and you're looking for a solution that does kind of work. Now, I'm not saying it works forever. We all know where that got us. For me, it got me to be, gosh, almost 300 pounds. So stress eating is not a good thing. I'm not recommending it. I'm just trying to help all of you understand that it does kind of work for the moment. The problem is we've got to realize it's so temporary. That moment is so short-lived, and then you're back to normal, feeling depressed, looking for another answer. But this kind of explains it, doesn't it? There's so much pressure to be merry at this time of year. You know, it can be like a party you're going to or some kind of big celebration. But you start second-guessing yourself. And you look around. Everybody else is at the party. Everybody else is at the party. You know, what can you do? What are you going to do? And then you start wondering, well, maybe I'm making the wrong decision. Maybe I am. And the next thing you know, you're like having FOMO. Do you know what FOMO is? Write in the comments if you do. FOMO, people start thinking, it's the holidays. You know, here it is. It's my Christmas time. Or, you know, they start worrying like, oh man, it's, you know, the Halloween candy. Or it's, you know, the holiday season is before us. Or maybe it's just fall. Maybe we're just talking about getting started. Pumpkin spice latte. Oh, like we start just mesmerizing ourselves, second guessing. We go down this FOMO situation. And then we're like, oh, just this once? Does that sound familiar? Just this once. You start saying to yourself, and then what happens? What happens? Bam! Instead of just this once, it's like you eat crazy for a week. That's how it is for me. I don't know about you. Or you might start thinking to yourself, oh, one bite won't kill me. You start listening to all those family and friends and coworkers. Or you start thinking, I deserve this. It's the holidays. I deserve it. And then what happens? Pow! Bam! You start eating like crazy for like a whole night, a whole day, a whole weekend. And then before you know it, a lot of us will go nuts. And then a whole month later, we're back to where we started. Back in January, all angry and mad at ourselves and depressed and worried about having to do this all from scratch. Right? Let me know what your thoughts are on how to handle self-sabotage. I mean, I kind of threw a lot at you, so I'm curious what ideas you have. Some of the suggestions I can give you, and I have a whole video on self-sabotage, so I don't want to go into too much depth. But just surface level, my recommendations are to identify the possible triggers. See what it is that's really getting you. Is it a situation, a person? A lot of times it's the person, like the mom or the coworker. But is it a situation? Is it a particular food that triggers you? Is it people? Maybe it's an event. But I think just knowing the trigger, putting your finger on it, and then taking some time to think about that can be very helpful. Next up, I feel like you want to make a plan. It's up to you what you want to do. It's up to you. No judgment here. But ask yourself, what is your intention? Take a look at that trigger. Take a look at the plan and ask yourself what outcome you would like to have. Now realize if you not having a plan, like not thinking about this and not making a decision, is a decision to fail. I know, I'm going to say that again. If you don't make a decision about what to do, that is a decision to fail. Now, I say that with all my heart because I've been here. This is not something I'm like speaking out of my, took us about. I've been there and I've done that and I've struggled with this myself. But if you don't have a plan, even if your plan is like, I'm going to have a little bit of this pie, that's your plan. Own up to it, fess up to it, make a decision, be conscious about it, and then go forward. But not having a plan and not thinking about it, for people like us that are struggling with their weight and are really having a hard time, with the whole diet concept at the holidays, we need to have a plan in place. Otherwise, not so good. You can also reframe the challenges at this time of year, like picture a little picture frame. But I like to think about proving them wrong. I'm such a rebel that I love to prove people wrong. So if people think, oh, she can't lose weight over the holidays, I'll be like, ooh, game on, sister. I'm going to prove you wrong. It's kind of fun to do that for people like me anyway. Let go of that whole all or nothing attitude. This is really at the crux of it. People are like, oh, but I have to be perfect. I can't have this and I can't have that. And I have to do this, have to do that. There's going to be some gray area during the holidays. That's okay. Every year at the holidays, I make one of my favorite dishes. It's a low-carb cheesecake. It's from the first cookbook. I know I talk about it a lot because I'm clearly in love with my cheesecake. It's from the original DLK cookbook. And I make it every year, and I have such trouble with portion control that I now make it in little sizes, like minis. And then I know I'm a little crazy, so I'll pretty much eat the whole thing. And even though it's small, it's probably a lot of servings. I will eat it breakfast, lunch, and dinner until it's gone. And I'll keep it in the freezer, and I'll just think about it all day long. Now, I know that about myself, and that's okay. So I'm not going to have that all or nothing attitude, like, oh, I'm going to be so perfect and eat healthy. Probably not. On Thanksgiving, on holidays, Christmas, I might be all crazy and eat a whole cheesecake in one day. That's part of who I am. And it's okay. But I know I'm going to course correct immediately. I'm not going to do that forever. I might want to. But I certainly know that's not going to give me the life that I want to lead. So I'll enjoy that moment and then move on from my low-carb cheesecake and go back to my normal eating habits. And I do that right away. Not Monday, not after the holiday, not next month, but right away. Did you get that part? That was very important. Right away. No waiting. Here's the thing, you guys. I mean, with these tips in mind, you can stop asking yourself, well, why can't I stick to the keto diet over the holidays? Why? Why is it so much trouble? You can stop like wrestling with that decision. You can stop all that anguish. You can stop all that like stress about should I, shouldn't I? It doesn't matter what day of the year it is, you're going to be able to be successful. You'll have your plan in place. You'll know your triggers. You'll have an idea of what to do. And then you'll be ready to celebrate the brand new you come January. Doesn't that sound amazing? Way better than getting sucked into grandma's drama. So next time you hear yourself saying, why can't I stick to a diet over the holidays? Start thinking about some of these ideas instead. Like it? So as a reminder, you guys, I'm going to link up videos for how to make some of these popular copycat holiday recipes for the holidays next. Promise that. And I've got a lot of videos to teach you how to do it. So remember, transformation is possible. I believe in you on the Dirty Lazy Keto diet plan. It's a way of life. It does not have to be like all or nothing. It can be a way of life that's positive and doable and enjoyable. So I know you can do it, everybody. Give me a round of applause, thumbs up,